Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. Let's go ahead and do that what's next for Oklahoma side of this, because the Sooners are headed home. Congratulations, you got back to the college football playoff. Brent Venables, in that sense, has been able to put the kind of like high watermark to what has been, 6-7, 10-win season, 6-7, 10-win season. But I think making the playoff, even in a 12-team era, gives a little bit of legitimacy there. But what next? How do they move forward? Because they still, despite all of those college football playoff appearances, have 0 college football playoff wins. And that includes also, I had forgotten this one, that they led by 17 against Georgia in the Rose Bowl and blew a 17-point lead in that game before, they got beat, not as handily in the second half and beyond. That one went to, double overtime? At least single overtime, right?
Yeah.
I might rewatch. It's been a minute.
You watch a lot of football.
Georgia Oklahoma Rose Bowl was a pretty good one. I'll throw that one back on. But Bud, why don't you bring us back to your friend and let's unpack this one. Has John Mateer, has he solidified himself as Oklahoma's immediate future for 2026?
I mean, this is kind of a wild question to ask, given this guy was the Heisman favorite in week 2 or week 3 or whatever that week that was. Because he's like, hey, like all credit to Bama, plays adjustments, talked about how awesome Oklahoma's defense is, hard to stop Simpson when he's making NFL throws out there. Because won't be easy. But man, Oklahoma at home with a 17-0 lead, Arbuckle calling a great game, and your QB just can't get you home. Can they run it back with him, really? And I guess the question is, like, what are your expectations for next year? There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the transfer portal who can throw and can read a defense. I don't know. Maybe he's their guy. Like, they do lose some off this, but still should be a pretty damn good team.
I don't know what the situation is with like his quote unquote contract.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it'd be hard to get out of, considering you can't have one. But there are guys in the portal right now I do think are better. It's just, can you get out of that and then go fire the money cannon at it again? Because that's not a cheap position. You know what I mean? So, I would rather have Brendan Sorsby than John Mateer. And
how many quarterbacks in the currently
similar styles? Yeah. But I'd rather have Sorsby.
Yeah, agreed. How many quarterbacks currently in the portal win this game for Oklahoma tonight? Or currently expected to enter the portal? Like, is Josh Hoover guaranteed?
No, Josh Hoover's just as turnover prone as anybody. I mean, I don't know if they would win the game with Mateer. It's just, I think that I think Sorsby.
I'm not saying they have to dump him. I thought I'd bring it up that, a guy who I know is a good coach, watching this game, he's like, this guy's missing so much stuff. But
honestly, Sorsby's the only one in the portal that I really feel.
Yeah, I don't like. I would rather especially when you consider the institutional knowledge, the fact that he was there, the fact that the relationship with Arbuckle. The one that I was going to pull, not for shock value, but just to prove a point on how I would rather run it back, is I wouldn't kick him to the curb for DJ Lagway.
No,
not like you saw more signs that Lagway is going to progress.
I
think Ryan in the chat has the correct answer.
What?
Just take that money and invest it in your offensive line instead.
See, I think they're going to be good there. I mean, you played.
They have recruited
3
well.
freshmen.
Yeah,
it can't be worse.
Those guys are going to get better, I would assume.
But I'm with you. I was going through looking at the roster going into this, and I was like, damn, you know what? Well, I mean, obviously Mateer and Burks, but it's not a transfer heavy roster.
No,
it is a roster that has been built with some pretty good recruiting. This is year 4 of Brent Venables. I think the talent on the roster says that they've got a pretty decent operation going. Player development obviously is the other part of this, and getting the job done by the time when you get to game time. But they played one of the toughest schedules in the country. They won 10 games. They made the college football playoff. and they had limitations. They've got areas where they need to improve, no doubt. But I would, for the record, if we're just throwing it down, I would run it back for Mateer versus telling him to kick rocks and then having to go fire the money cannon at 20, 25, 26 prices on the players that are in the portal of that caliber.
Yeah, we don't know what he's making, so yeah, that's fair.
Does Sam Levitt win this game?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Sam's going to make mistakes too. That's the thing. There's no quarterback in the portal. I mean, there's a lot of big names in the portal. John Mateer was a big name in the portal just a year ago. They all have flaws.
Yeah. What else about the sort of Oklahoma? Do you think that Oklahoma can walk away from this agreeing with the sentiment or the notion that this has been a successful season, that you can feel proud about this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hell yeah. 10-3 getting to the playoff. Sure, it sucks blowing a 17-0 lead at home in a playoff game, but overall, especially with like the teams that you played, the teams that you were able to beat during the regular season, I mean, yeah, you got blown out by Texas. That sucks. You blow a 17-0 lead to Alabama. That sucks. Like, the losses sucked.
Yeah.
But on
losing
the whole,
home to Ole Miss too.
Yeah. Like, but it's an Ole Miss team that lost one game and is in the playoff.
Yeah.
But it's just, considering where we were a year ago, if you're Oklahoma, and what you got and what you were hoping for this year, and looking at that schedule, getting to the playoff, man, it sucks the way it ended, but you can't not be happy with the year.
I mean, what was your preseason win total? 7?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if things had not gone well? Like, you're either firing Venables and having to start over, right? Now, I think they've got a decent thing going there, or you're like going into the next season with a ton of pressure on the guy. Like, now it's like, all right, you feel like you've done a really good job.
I don't know if Brent Venables will ever be that far away from the hot seat.
No, not when you're offense. I feel like any coach, when your offense is that inconsistent and looks that ugly at times, you're always going to be on the hot seat, because fans do forgive you when you make the scoreboard go bling bling.
The coach I was thinking of does not match that description, but tell me if you agree with this. I was going to put him in a Gus Malzahn trajectory. Did Gus do 8 years?
Gus was there a long time, but like, Brent's an OU guy, right? Or well, kind of.
I know he's a
Kansas State guy, but he was there a long time under Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just remembering Gus was always 1 year away from the hot seat, right? And then he'd win, and then he'd get off, and then he'd like win, and then he'd get off, and it was always just kind of a, every other year we'd be talking about, he's got to win now. Now he's got to win.
I do think those guys play with like great heart. They're really tough. I think there's some culture stuff that maybe Gus's Auburn teams didn't consistently have year to year, as far as like how hard you play.
I saw KJ Henry popped off on Twitter. They showed the clip of him. I forgot which player he was laying into, but he was just laying into. And KJ Henry retweeted the video. He said, "That man scared me into being a good football player. I'll ride for him forever."
That's awesome.
And by the way, KJ Henry, right, bud, was like a 5-star prospect, right?
Yeah.
KJ Henry admitting, like, I had all of the talent, but I needed Brent Venables to get my head on straight so that I could be the player that I could possibly be. So I think, for the record, I think Brent Venables is a good football coach. There were reasons to doubt him. He was being pegged and pigeonholed as a lifelong coordinator. He got an unbelievable opportunity in unique circumstances when Oklahoma had to hire a coach and it wasn't planning to have to hire a coach. After 4 years, with what he's delivered, has it been disjointed? Yes, but I do think the path ahead shows good positive signs coming off of this season.
No doubt.